Hey guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. How are you all? We have met after so long, and let me just, yeah, it's good. Okay, so how are you all? Hi Rajesh, hi Louis Smith, hi Out of This World Gamer, and hi Albiro. Today is a day when we'll finally see the Atlas, means the ULA, opening their launch schedule for this year. You will see the first ULA launch, which is the Atlas V launch, and interestingly, this launch has some unique characteristics to it. And these unique characteristics are kind of very unique. I mean, like only the first and the only time you will see something like that. Okay, and I'll tell you what is that, so don't worry about that. So hi everyone. So without any further ado, let's just get to know about this mission and get to know what is actually that unique in this mission. So here we have, I'll just be very quick with it, so you don't have to listen to me for a longer time. So this today's launch will feature Atlas V 500 series, and the difference between these two is like 400 series uses 4 meter fairing, and 500 series uses 5 meter fairing, in which the second stage is inside that fairing. Okay, and today's configuration is 511, and if we see that, and it is going to geosynchronous orbit, not geosynchronous transfer orbit, but a geosynchronous orbit. And if you see that 511 going to a geosynchronous orbit, which is this one, has nothing in here. And the reason is that the reason is that only the uniqueness of this mission, because there has not been any Atlas V with the 511 configuration which has flown. This is the only time which it is flying, and right now it is the only known one also. So like we don't have any planned 511 launches in the future right now. So this might be the first and the last time you are seeing the 511, because that does not go to geo synchronous orbit, and today it is going to. So this is the unsymmetrical launch as well as the 511 launch. Okay, so moving on, just a second. Okay, not this one. So this is the rocket configuration. As you have already seen from the thumbnail, this is an unsymmetrical launch, which means you will see the unsymmetrical thrust. Here, the booster, there is only one solid rocket booster which will be attached to the core stage. The core stage will have means one RD-180 engine. This is just one RD-180 engine, which features two combustion chambers and two nozzles. Okay, and this runs on RP1 and locks as its fuel. And then finally we will you see this unique structure of the satellites. Like they are not coupled on top of each other, they are placed horizontally. That is also yet like kind of unique in this. And then the second stage is the well-known upper stage right now, the best upper stage right now, I would say, the RL10 engine. Runs on hydrolox as its fuel. So this is the okay, so let's have a look at the payload itself. So this is the payload, which is the GSSAP satellites, and they are being made by US Space Force, obviously. And these two satellites have the main objective of these two satellites is to track objects in the heavily trafficked geosynchronous belt that a lot of companies are using for placing their communication satellites. One objective is that this will help not only to manage traffic and avoid collisions, but also to detect potential threats from space objects. So it's kind of surveillance satellites which are going to actually monitor the geosynchronous belt, so that everything is perfect above there. So yeah, this is how the satellites look like, and this is the flight profile. So here the flight profile is a typical one, in which the rocket will lift off with both solid rocket booster and the core stage ignited from ground, and then the solid rocket booster will separate, and then finally the core stage will still be attached, but the fairing will jettison, and then core stage will cut off and jettison, and then finally the second stage will second stage ignition will happen. Here you can see this is the sixth step, and then second stage will stop. And then finally at eighth step, means when it comes here, it will again ignite to go for a geosynchronous transfer orbit. Here it will give it enough velocity to have this elliptical orbit. And since it is going to geosynchronous orbit, so it will do a correction maneuver here at 9, and then finally when it reaches apogee, it will do several burns to have this orbit circularized, and the total mission time is 7 hours 46 minutes. So this is a very, very long mission, but I don't think so we will see any good footage out of it. Means like a 7-hour long stream, obviously we won't be seeing that. Maybe just before the deployment of fairing, we'll get to have the stream. Okay, so this is that we have. Okay. Hi everyone. So if you have any questions, you can ask me right now. T minus 35 minutes. Yes, that is the schedule, and we still have like 5 minutes until the webcast goes live. So we will take some questions right now. And right now, the stream which you are seeing is thanks to just a second. 3 to 1 launch for providing this stream. I may have not given the credit in this description, but I'll do that after this. But yes, so this is right now. You can see the rocket is being fueled. Everything is looking good. The weather is 80% go for the launch. Everything is proceeding as per the plan. And yes, this might be the only first and the only time you will see 511 rocket going to space. You must have seen those unsymmetrical one going to space for the Atlas series, but those were the Atlas 400 series, Atlas 5 400 series. So this is like the unique thing about this mission. And as you know, Atlas, ULA does not do much missions as frequently as SpaceX. So it's always nice to have one ULA mission in a month, because those missions have different experience than SpaceX. So yes. It should be a great. You see, again, this is like a USSF mission. So okay, so this is a Space Force mission, and hence you might not expect the good enough stream here, because they might just cut off the stream after the fairing deployment. So that is one thing which you need to know. So we are here obviously for the liftoff scenes. That might be the best one which you will see. The fog is not there, the weather is 80% go, so yes, we are expecting some good videos and photos here. Okay. Let me just have a check whether they are live or not. No, will be missing. Have a chill, Popster. Popster, how are you? Okay. Looking good right now. Everything is looking good. So is this music loud, or should I? It's good. If the background music, if it is loud, so just please tell me. I'll decrease the sound, otherwise it's good. I don't know, I've tried this for the first time. Yeah, everybody loves rocket here, so that is cool, because my mission for this channel is to spread awareness about the rockets and space and all those things. So it's good to have new personnel joining the Space Tubers family. These are the live views you can see on your screen. Let me just see if we have any other update, whether is there a delay or something like that, or everything is going as per the plan. Just let me just see that. Okay, right now everything is looking good. So yes, the recent tweet from ULA is the countdown has entered the planned 30-minute built-in hold. At T-4 minutes, the final readiness polls will be performed during the hold before the permission is given to the launch. And the liftoff time remains at 2 p.m. EST. So everything is looking good and progressing as per the plan. And launch is, oh, so the launch conditions have improved. It was 80% before, and now the latest weather condition says it is 90% chance of acceptable weather conditions. So that is great. And yes, the hold which you means which I told you right now, it's the built-in hold, so it's not a problem here. There's not any issue with that. Simple rockets too, nope. I don't play that, but I do play KSP. That is my favorite one right now. Actually, I haven't tried the simple rockets too, and I've heard some good reviews out of it. But again, you don't have those green men around there, so that is one thing which I really admire. So I continue to play KSP, although it takes my PC to its limit, but it's okay. And right now, yeah, we in this year we might have the KSP2 finally. Uh, we are expecting that. It was supposed to be released in 2020, but no, it wasn't released. It kept on delayed and delayed once because of some technical, issues, and then finally the COVID came in. So hopefully this time 2022 is the year when we will see the KSP2, and I am really very excited for it. And guys, in this view, you can also see those masts in front of you, right? Those uh, big towers, which are actually bigger in length than the rocket, and there is a reason behind it. It's okay to be noob in KSP. Everybody learns. I was also once. So and you know the best time to play KSP is when you don't know about rockets. This is the thing which I have managed to explore, because when you know about the rockets and how do they work, I mean, it becomes a bit of technical challenge rather than fun loving challenge. When you don't know anything about space and you are trying to learn through the game, then it is very fun. But when you know and then you are just playing, then you know you what you are doing. So it's not fun, but it's more like a mission oriented. So yes, you are in a good stage right now. Okay, so waiting for them to come live. Right now things are looking great. Oh, that's great. You have made the rockets using matchsticks. See, this is the thing. You can even actually, if you are into rockets and stuff, there is one guy on Twitter name as his handle is AXM Paper Models, and he has released free paper models for anyone to download and make rockets at home. So if you are into rockets and like rockets being built and in front of you, I mean, yes, it will be paper rockets, but you will be having something. So you can just print out uh, the cutouts in a hard paper, and then on a hard paper, and then you can build one of yours. It's a very cheap and affordable way to get a hold of one of the rockets, because the actual ones, the scaled ones which are made of plastic and all those things are very costly. Kind of, sometimes you don't can't afford them. So that is the best alternative which you can have. And sadly, I don't have printer at home. So, and due to COVID, I you know rarely go out of home. So I don't have one of the paper models. Okay, still waiting for them to come live. What's the special about the upper stage of the Atlas V and they name it Centaur? See, that's a good question. See, the things, the special about the Atlas V Centaur upper stage is that it is the best upper stage right now. Okay, it is the best performing upper stage. The RL-10 Centaur upper stage is the best performing upper stage in operation right now. So because of its capabilities, it has the highest ISP. It has the capability to maintain its what should I say, reignition capability even after longer duration, like here, because it is going to geosynchronous orbit, so it's like a 7-hour long mission. So it has the capability to maintain all the temperatures and all the basically rocket parameters for a longer period of time, and hence can support multiple burns mission like this one. So this is the most important thing which it has. Managing the boil off also, like when you are in space and you have the temperatures unevenness. Okay, you can take care of that by doing a barbecue roll, but the fuel inside your rocket is in cryogenic temperatures, right? And when you do barbecue roll, some of the temperature, and this one is the lightest one. I mean, one thing is which I forgot to mention is that this upper stage is the lightest one. It has the balloon tank structure in it, which means that the reason behind the Atlas V 501 500 series is to protect that delicate upper stage from collapsing in its own weight. Yes, that is the reason, and that because when you have a payload which is like have higher what should I say, weight, then the second stage has the capability to collapse on itself on its own weight. It is so light and so thin. So that is one of the unique characteristics. Again, waiting for them to come live. I don't know what has happened. They don't actually do this. Maybe hopefully just a technical error on the stream. Because they haven't tweeted anything yet. So everything is everything is going good. Just don't have the webcast right now. Okay, so yes, what was I saying? So yeah, I was saying that this RL-10 one is, specialty is obviously that light weight of this rocket. The other one is the restart capability. There are like many, just a second, advantages of this rocket. Okay, so no, you are not late. We are still T minus 23 minutes until the launch. Everything is looking good. Have changed their status. What have they changed? Can you just update me, Will Smith? I haven't seen. Okay, webcast is live now. I should switch over to that. Still, we are not having the rocket visual, so I'll switch over when we will have the rocket visual. That is good for you all. Latest weather briefings says, and the weather officer confirms everything is good for 2 p.m. liftoff. Everything is looking good on that behalf. Okay, still waiting. For this launch, yeah, I was, I just remember I was saying that there is a reason for those big towers. If you can answer that, it would be great. Otherwise, I'll tell you. There's a reason for, those big towers, those four towers you can see in front of your screen, which is like bigger than the rocket. And there's a reason behind that. Okay, let me just tell you. The reason is actually um, those are the electricity absorbing towers. You can kind of say that. Like electricity absorbing EAT towers. EAT. Oops. Okay. So what they do is they protect the rocket from thunder. When there is a thunderstorm, then since they are high, the height is bigger than the rocket. They are the first uh, contacting surface if there is any thunderstorm near the pad, so the rocket does not get damaged. Just a second, guys. Move on to the official stream. Okay.
United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket.
Mach 1 executed, and we have indication of spacecraft separation.
Good afternoon. I'm Caroline Kirk, a systems engineer at ULA, and your host for today's Atlas V USSF-8 launch for the United States Space Force. I'm joining you here today from ULA's Atlas Spaceflight Operations Center at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Liftoff is scheduled for 2 p.m. Eastern, though we do have a 2-hour window available today. In addition to watching our webcast, you can also follow live mission progress at ulalaunch.com. The countdown is currently in a 30-minute planned hold. We have 2 planned holds in our 7.5-hour launch count, which give our team additional time to resolve any issues prior to entering the terminal count. At this time, the team is not working any issues, and we are proceeding towards an on-time liftoff. Today's ascent to near-geosynchronous orbit is more than 6 hours, so we'll wrap up about 15 minutes after liftoff. In a few minutes, we'll hear from ULA President and CEO, Tory Bruno, about the unique rocket configuration ULA is using for today's flight. And stay tuned after liftoff to learn about flight commentary from ULA's Patrick Moore and the latest news on ULA's ICPS role in the upcoming NASA SLS mission from ULA's Joven D. Herrera. Before moving forward, let's check in on today's weather forecast with Space Launch Delta 45 Weather Officer Brian Sizek.
Thanks, Caroline. We actually have a fairly dynamic weather setup in place right now, but overall conditions looking quite favorable for a launch just about 30 minutes here. So as you can see, we do have the live satellite right behind me. We do have, the first thing you'll probably notice is some area of thicker clouds well to our north. That's because there is a cold front that's very slowly working its way from north to south across Florida. But what's really helping us out right now is this finger of dry air that's going kind of right across the middle of the state. We just have some high wispy cirrostratus clouds, and they are gradually thickening as we go later and later in the day today. But overall, they're high enough and thin enough where they're probably not going to be a concern as we head into the launch window. So let's take a look at the latest launch forecast as briefed by my colleague Will Ulrich just a few minutes ago. So the probability of violating our weather constraints at the start of the window, it's just 10%, gradually increasing a little bit to 20% by the end of the window. So in other words, that's a 90% chance of go at the beginning of the window, 80% chance go by the end of the window. Winds well below constraints, around 11 to 15 knots coming from the north, but overall looks like a nice afternoon for a launch. Caroline?
Thanks, Brian. ULA is launching USSF-8 for the Space Force's Space Systems Command. Let's learn more from avionics responsible engineer, Lieutenant Charlie Chuk.
USSF-8 will launch 2 identical Space Situational Awareness Program satellites, GSSAP-5 and 6, to a near-geosynchronous orbit, approximately 22,300 miles or 36,000 kilometers above the equator. GSAP is a space-based capability that collects space situational awareness data, allowing for more accurate tracking and characterization of human-made orbiting objects. The satellites have unobstructed and distinct vantage points for viewing resident space objects orbiting Earth, without the weather or atmospheric disruptions that limit ground-based observations. This will be the 3rd launch for the GSAP program, following the successful 2014 and 2016 launches of Aerospace 4 and 6, which both launched atop Delta IV rockets. USSF-8 will be the first flight of the Atlas V 511 configuration. Stay tuned after liftoff to hear from our USSF-8 mission director, Colonel Erin Golden, where she will highlight the criticality and diversity of our space partnerships that are required to achieve mission success.
Okay, so guys, weather is looking great right now, and you can see the
ULA's
awesome live
Atlas
views,
V
which
511
is
rocket,
also
the
great.
first and only planned mission using this configuration, is launching USSF-8. This is the 91st Atlas V launch and ULA's 140th launch. Built in ULA's 1.6 million square foot production facility in Decatur, Alabama, the Atlas V Common Core booster is powered by an NPO Energomash RD-180 engine and a single Northrop Grumman solid rocket booster to provide additional thrust at liftoff. The Centaur second stage is powered by an Aerojet Rocketdyne RL-10 engine. The 2 spacecraft are encapsulated in a 5-meter diameter RUAG payload fairing. These rocket components travel from Alabama to Cape Canaveral on ULA's rocket ship. Once in Florida, a series of events led to today's countdown. Here's ULA's Isaac Spence to take us through that process.
Thanks, Caroline. I'm here at the Vertical Integration Facility at Space Launch Complex 41. Behind me, the team is preparing to move the Mobile Launch Platform, or MLP, to the pad. Before we do that, here's a look at how the rocket was stacked. Our process began with lifting the 107-foot or 33-meter booster onto the MLP. Then the team mated the SRB to the booster, followed by the transport and lift of the Centaur into position. Finally, the payload fairing, with both spacecraft already encapsulated, was mated to the Atlas V rocket. Once the rocket is fully assembled, we start the countdown procedure by moving the mobile launch platform from the vertical integration facility to the pad. To complete this move, 6 components are used for the 20-minute trip to pad, which spans about 1/3 of a mile. The MLP weighs approximately 2 million pounds, supports the rocket, and contains air conditioning, electrical, and commodities lines. The undercarriages bear the weight of the MLP and the rocket. Additionally, 2 rail cars lead the move, with the payload van providing spacecraft communication and the ground van providing support for the rocket. At the rear of the convoy is an environmental control system providing air conditioning to the payload and rocket, and trackmobiles power the nearly 3 million pound convoy. The Atlas V rocket stands 196 feet, or about 60 meters, and weighs 775,000 pounds, or more than 350,000 kilograms, fully fueled. With the rocket on the pad, the launch team then transitions to fueling and other final preparations.
Okay, so things are looking good. As you know,
ULA's Atlas
okay.
V 511 rocket is launching both GSSAP spacecraft to near geosynchronous orbit. Let's learn more about today's flight.
You should see the flight profile now.
Liftoff of
Yeah.
the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket.
The RD-180 main engine and 1 solid rocket booster ignite to lift the Atlas V rocket away from the pad. Together, the main engine and single SRB generate a combined liftoff thrust of 1.2 million pounds, or 5.3 meganewtons. Shortly after liftoff, Atlas begins a pitchover to attain the proper flight path while minimizing the dynamic pressure the vehicle experiences during flight. The Atlas V reaches Mach 1, the speed of sound, at 58 seconds. 2 minutes into flight, the GEM 63 solid rocket booster is jettisoned. During ascent, the spacecraft are protected inside a 5-meter diameter payload fairing. At approximately 3 minutes 30 seconds, the rocket is climbed above the densest part of Earth's atmosphere, and the payload fairing is jettisoned. At 4 minutes 21 seconds, propellant levels are depleted and the main engine shuts down. 6 seconds later, the Atlas Centaur separation system activates to release the booster stage. The vehicle now weighs a little more than 5% of what it did at liftoff. At 4 minutes 37 seconds, the first Centaur main engine burn begins. Over the span of more than 6.5 hours, Centaur's RL-10 main engine will perform 3 engine burns. Approximately 6 hours, 31 minutes after liftoff, the RL-10 engine ignites for a final burn. This burn enables Centaur to make a plane change towards its geosynchronous separation. Nearly 2 minutes later, Centaur completes its final engine cutoff, following a guidance-commanded shutdown, a capability which ensures precise orbit injection. 6 hours, 35 minutes, 48 seconds after liftoff, Centaur releases the first satellite, followed by the second satellite, approximately 10 minutes later. The Space Force's identical Geosynchronous Space Situational Awareness Program satellites then continue their journey to geosynchronous orbit.
Okay, the onboard cameras are activated. Here we can see one of the views. Things are looking
As
good.
I've mentioned, this is the first and only planned Atlas V 511 configuration. It is the only unflown configuration of the Atlas V family. Here's
Exactly.
ULA's president and CEO, Tory Bruno, on why this unique rocket is ripe for today's mission.
Hi,
Listen to
I'm
him.
Tory from ULA, and I'm here to talk to you about our upcoming mission, USSF-8. This is a really cool mission. We're going to launch 2 spacecraft directly injected to a high-energy near-geosynchronous orbit. And a lot of you have asked about the configuration of the rocket that we're going to use. Well, this will be the first flight of the big slider, the Atlas 511 with only 1 solid rocket motor. And we call it the big slider because if you watch the launch, you're going to see a kind of power slide off the pad because of this asymmetric torque. And a lot of you have wondered, well, how do you fly that? Well, that nozzle is canted to pass through the average center of gravity, and the RD-180 has tremendous control authority with its thrust vector system, and it can overcome that and compensate for it. And this is just the right amount of energy to carry these 2 payloads to their very cool mission of space surveillance, kind of like a neighborhood watch for GEO. Go Atlas! Go USSF-8.
I always love to hear him. He's a very cheerful guy, and I always love to hear the information that he provides. And here you
Today's
have it.
flight is dedicated in memory of Northrop Grumman employee James Jim Mooney. Following a 20-year career with the U.S. Air Force, Jim joined Orbital Sciences Corporation in 2004 as a spacecraft integration and test department manager for Northrop Grumman following their acquisition of Orbital Sciences. Jim oversaw the complete assembly, integration, testing, and launch site operations for numerous commercial and military spaceflight vehicles. This distinguished path led to his assignment as the overall production, integration, and launch space manager for the GSSAP program. Jim's leadership and dedication to the mission was a driving force behind the successful production and launch site integration of 6 state-of-the-art GSSAP spacecraft. For this dedication to his family, friends, coworkers, the mission, and to the security of our nation, we are eternally grateful to have crossed paths with Jim and to call him a friend and patriot.
Okay, so no, the one nozzle, no, it's not like that. Both of them, have the thrust vectoring control. So that is the case. So if you are wondering, as he said, since there is, uneven
We remain in
torque.
the planned 30-minute hold as we continue towards liftoff. In a few moments, launch conductor Ron McKee will poll the launch team for the final go to pick up the countdown.
Okay,
29 engineers and managers are polled for system status and readiness to proceed. This is the final status check for all Atlas vehicle systems, ground systems, spacecraft, and the U.S. Space Force Eastern Range. The vehicle system readiness poll includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen in as Ron McKee performs the final polling.
Now minus 7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems, propulsion.
Go.
Hydraulic.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
Water.
Go.
Centaur systems propulsion.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Gas gas.
Go.
Electrical systems airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
DC cube.
Go.
Operation support.
Go.
Com.
Go.
Umbilical.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Red line monitor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle systems engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch vehicle is ready to launch.
Mission director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. ALC verified T0 set for 1900 Zulu.
Yes.
Verified.
And we are go for the launch. Get
Polling
ready
is
to
complete.
witness
The ULA launch team and the
unique
Space Force
combination.
mission director are go for launch. From T-minus 4 minutes until launch, you will be listening to Ron McKee and his team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. Several critical activities occur in the final minutes before launch, including verifying fuel tank levels and pressures in the booster and Centaur and arming the flight termination system. At T-minus 25 seconds, you'll hear Go Atlas, Go Centaur, Go USSF-8. This is the final status check of Atlas, Centaur, and USSF-8 readiness. At T-minus 3 seconds, the main engine ignites, followed by ignition of the solid rocket booster. Then, after seeing Atlas V lift off the launch pad, you'll begin hearing flight commentator Patrick Moore providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Okay, guys, we are 5 minutes until the launch. Everything is looking great. And please remember, if you have just joined the stream, that this is the first and the only planned configuration which you will see. So don't miss this opportunity to witness this rocket go in the sky. And as Mr. Tory Bruno said, that it will have a slider, when it will lift off from the pad because of the uneven torque, because of the unsymmetrical thrust which it will have. So that is one thing which you can, a slide, I should say, the effect which was demonstrated by Astra rocket, right? During its first live stream flight, if you know, it went towards the x-axis. That effect would be seen here, but not that drastic.
T-minus 4 minutes in holding. We anticipate releasing the hold in just a few moments.
On my mark, the time will be T-minus 4 minutes and counting. 3, 2, 1, mark. 3:55.
Ground pyros enabled.
The countdown clock has resumed and we are go for launch at 2 p.m. Eastern. With liftoff approaching, we're going to raise the volume on our launch team so you can hear the final preps taking place.
Okay, T-minus 3 minutes left. Everything is go for the launch.
$3:10.
LC spacecraft going internal.
Roger.
I hope we will be able to witness that sliding mechanism.
3 minutes.
3 minutes until this beauty lifts
Securing
off
no
to
load,
the
who's
sky.
talking?
Atlas tanks to flight pressure.
2:50.
FPS internal.
Things are looking great. You may see some cloudiness in the sky, but that is good. The weather is 90% go for the launch, so that is great. 511 to the sky, to the space, I should say. Please don't blink when this flies, because you never know when you will, if this is the last time you are seeing the 511 configuration.
2:10.
LC spacecraft internal.
Roger.
Minus 2 minutes and counting.
1:59.
Things are looking good.
Vehicle internal.
1:55.
Vehicle is
Launch
in
sequencer start.
Terminal power.
150.
Securing Centaur LH2.
Securing Centaur LO2.
Okay.
140.
Launch enabled.
137.
Who is excited?
FTS arm.
I'm so much excited right now.
T-minus 90 seconds. The launch vehicle, payload, ground systems, and eastern range are go for launch.
I'm
120.
holding my breath.
With the use arm. FCS count started.
115.
Reduce ECS for launch.
Roger. 110. Vent valves locked.
T-minus
1
1 minute.
T-minus
Guys.
1 minute.
Range green.
Range is green. And this is the silence before the storm, as they say, right? Okay, guys. Let's get the party started. T-minus 40
40
seconds.
Stable at step 3.
Hopefully we will see the sliding here. 30 seconds.
28. 25.
Status check.
T-minus 20.
Go Atlas.
19.
Go boost
18.
Centaur. Go
17.
USSF-8.
16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10.
ECDS
Minus
reduce for launch.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition and liftoff. United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket carrying SF-8 for the United States Space Force.
Now 10 seconds into flight. Vehicles will be on the pitch over maneuver. Body rate response look good.
You're now hearing the voice of Patrick Moore providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Now 20 seconds in.
So cool.
RU-180 propellant utilization system has gone to closed loop control system. Response looks good. Now passing 30 seconds into flight.
Oh man, this
Vehicles
is so
completing the
great.
pitch over maneuver. Body rate responses continue to look good. Engine operating parameters continue to look good.
That rubber.
SRB chamber pressure within expected ranges.
511 to space. This looks so good. I mean, those tracking scopes are
Coming up on
amazing.
58 seconds into flight. Mach 1, Atlas 5 is now supersonic.
Wow, see the quality of the tracking
RU-180
scopes.
engine operating parameters continue to look good. SRB chamber pressure looks good.
Hopefully we will see the
Now
okay,
passing through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure.
max Q reached. Hopefully
Body rates
everything is
continue to
good.
look good throughout boost phase.
There you go. Onboard camera.
Now 3 minutes remaining in the booster phase of flight.
Things are looking great.
Now
You
passing
will-
1 minute 30 seconds into flight. SRB chamber pressure tailing off now as SRBs are burning out.
in 20 seconds you will see the jettison of the SRB.
And we have SRB burnout. RD-180 throttling down slightly as expected. Engine response looks good.
And you should see the
Now passing 1 minute 50 seconds into flight. Body rates continue to look good throughout boost phase.
jettison now.
RD-180 engine operating parameters continue to look good.
There you go. Wow.
Now 2 minutes into flight, we have good indication of jettison of the SRB. The Atlas V now weighs 1/2 of its liftoff weight.
Although the plume looks uneven,
And vehicle's gone to closed loop steering. Body rates look good.
that is the thing which I should say, but okay. Looking good right now.
2 minutes remaining in the booster phase of flight.
And this time we did not even get a frame drop when it jettisoned.
Atlas V is now 38 miles in altitude, 35 miles downrange distance, traveling at 4,200 miles per hour.
That means they have actually improved their video camera system, which is great to.
Now 2 minutes 40 seconds into flight.
Yes, it was. It actually moved
RD-180
on to
pump
the
speeds
side.
and injector pressures continue to look good. Body rates continuing to look good throughout boost phase.
Oh, you will. Next event is the fairing separation.
Now passing 3 minutes into flight. And Centaur reaction control system is now pressurizing to flight levels. RD-180 now throttling down to maintain a constant 2.5 G acceleration limit. Engine response looks good as it's maintaining that 2.5 G acceleration limit. Now 1 minute remaining until BECO. And standing by for payload fairing jettison.
It wasn't scary actually. I said you will see some sort of show of.
And we have good indication of payload fairing jettison.
There we go. Fairing jettison confirmed.
And we have CFLR jettison.
Yeah, those support structures are also jettisoned now. The next event is the BECO.
Now 3 minutes 50 seconds into flight. Body rates continuing to look good. And RD-180 now throttling to maintain a constant 4.6 G acceleration limit. And we've begun boost phase chill down. And standing by for booster engine cutoff shortly.
And you will see that happening.
And we have BECO booster engine cutoff, standing by for stage SEP. We have good indication of Atlas Centaur separation.
Yes.
We have pre-start on the RL-10.
Start and hopefully.
We have ignition
There
and
you
full
go.
thrust on the RL-10. Chamber pressure looks good. Body rates look good.
Everything is looking good as expected. Those are
And
the
this
two
first burn of
satellites.
today's mission will last approximately 8.5 minutes.
Okay. So
Now
what
passing
is the
5 minutes into flight.
what is the payload? These are the payload.
Centaur's
are
gone to
those
closed loop steering. Body rates continue to look good.
two sets which
And
you
the
can see on
RCS
the
system has
screen.
begun initial thruster firings for thermal conditioning as expected.
And these two satellites are the geosynchronous surveillance satellites.
Centaur is now 140
This
miles
is-
in altitude, 420 miles downrange distance, traveling at...
This is Atlas Mission Control at T plus 5 minutes and 25 seconds. We just heard flight commentator Patrick Moore confirm the successful completion of the early phase of today's flight, and all systems continue to operate nominally. Our next event, Centaur main engine cutoff, will occur in approximately 8 minutes. Earlier this week, Patrick Moore shared a little insight about his role as flight commentator and the vital information he relays to the launch team post-liftoff. Let's take a look.
Hi,
Okay.
my name is Patrick Moore. I'm a systems engineer in the Chief Engineer's Office at ULA, and I'm also your flight commentator for USSF-8. So my job as flight commentator is I'm taking a look at the screens here. I have some plots and schematics, and I'm also looking at the video on the wall. And so what I do is, as we're lifting off, I'm looking at the video, confirming that what I'm seeing on the screens are consistent. And then I'll start taking a look at the data in the plots and the schematics. And so my job as flight commentator is I'm looking at the data that I see here, and then I'm talking about it over the broadcast and on the net. And so the folks at ULA will be listening to my commentary, and so we have engineers that cover all different disciplines: avionics, structures, thermal, and many others. And so what they're doing when they hear my commentary is it just kind of helps give folks perspective of where we are in the launch and what's coming up. So an engineer will be looking at their specific system and all the different things that are going on with what's specific to their hardware in flight. And so my commentary helps tell them, okay, something's coming up that I might need to look at, or I should expect to see a change in my data in a certain way. And then obviously my commentary goes out to folks around the world watching the ULA broadcast. And so my job as flight commentator for them is to help provide some perspective of what they might be seeing on the broadcast and on the video to just help kind of pull everything together. So one thing that's interesting about flight commentary, when we have the rocket in flight, we're getting thousands of different measurements that we can select from, and they cover all different things from top to bottom of the rocket. So our job as flight commentators is we want to pick maybe 40 or 50 different measurements that give us an indication of how the vehicle is doing in general. We look at that in the plots here and in the schematics, and that really gives us more of a general feel that the rocket's doing well in flight, and then it's the job of the rest of the engineers throughout Denver that they're looking at much more specific measurements, like a temperature on an avionics box, or a pump speed in the engine, or things like that. And so we may not look at those but we want to look at maybe general indicators that tell us that the whole system is doing well. So I certainly get a little bit nervous before every launch. I've been doing this flight commentary for 4 years and about 12 launches, and I think I get nervous every time. I thought it would go away, but it doesn't. So I get really excited. There's a lot of adrenaline going, especially in the last couple of minutes before launch. And I think one of the challenges of being a flight commentator is you have to, kind of live within that adrenaline, but also talk yourself down a little bit and stay focused on reading the data and talking over the net. And sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge, but it's always exciting. So for USSF-8, there's no difference in how I feel leading up to this launch. I'm really excited and can't wait.
Cool to hear. So it is not, it is actually classified, but we do know that these two satellites are the surveillance satellite in the geosynchronous belt, which means they will actually keep a track on the all the satellites in the all the satellites in the geosynchronous belt. Helps in calculating if there is any collision or no or what, and basically surveilling the geosynchronous belt. So these are those two satellites. One will remain above the geosynchronous orbit and one will remain below the geosynchronous orbit. So they both works in conjunction to provide the data.
Hi, my name is Hovind Herrera. I'm the avionics lead on ULA's Artemis program. Our whole team is excited to be part of America's journey back to the moon. ULA is working collaboratively with the Boeing company to supply the interim cryogenic propulsive stage, ICPS, for the Artemis 1, 2, and 3 missions. The ICPS is a modified Delta IV cryogenic second stage that is the second stage of the SLS rocket. This week, we are conducting program-specific engineering testing. This is a collaborative test with the whole SLS team to ensure all of the hardware powers on nominally and the vent and pressure systems respond appropriately. ULA is managing the ICPS power during this test. The Tiger team is a dedicated team on console that will support NASA's launch team. We work closely and collaboratively to monitor all aspects of ICPS during pre-launch and in flight. We are so excited to be playing our role and returning back to the moon.
Okay, so everything is looking good, and yes, the reason why it slided off, and it did slide off from the pad like the Astra did, if you have cast that launch, is because of the unsymmetrical thrust. Okay, so as you know, there is just one SRB on this launch, so there was a side force applied on the rocket, and that's why it moved to the side initially, and then when the thrust vectoring control of the RD-180 engine took control, so then it actually made itself controllable and not go sidewards. So that's how the things look like in this launch. So right now everything is looking great. We are looking good for the burn, and I don't what should I say, doubt this RL-10 engine. I know if this is the stage this is the stage where the second stage is burning, so this mission will be successful.
We are now approaching main engine cutoff 1. Let's listen in.
Passing 12 minutes into flight, approximately 1 minute now remaining until MECO. Centaur is now 200 miles in altitude, 1,960 miles downrange distance, traveling at 16,350 miles per hour.
I know which you are talking about, Blues Traveler. That was the Electron launch in which that went sideways because of the wind. But Electron is capable of high winds, so it was not a problem for Electron. But if you haven't seen the Astra rocket launch,
30 seconds now remaining until engine cutoff.
I would say please go and watch it. It was one of the craziest launch that I have ever seen.
RL-10 operating parameters continue to look nominal. Body rates remain stable, now about 13 seconds until engine cutoff. PU's gone to open loop in preparation for MECO. Standing by for cutoff. And we have MECO.
And there you go, MECO, main engine cutoff 1 right now. There will be another, ignition. Right now
This
it has
is Atlas
circularized
Mission
round the Earth.
Control at T plus 13 minutes and 20 seconds. Patrick Moore just reported the successful completion of the first of 3 Centaur engine burns. Centaur is now coasting over the Atlantic, but we still have a long way to go. The 2 USSF-8 satellites are scheduled to separate from Centaur into a near-geosynchronous orbit in about 6.5 hours. Before we leave you, here is USSF-8 Mission Director Colonel Aaron Goulden discussing the criticality and diversity of our space partnerships and how they contribute to mission success.
It's truly an honor and a privilege to have served as your mission director and to be part of this amazing team that's delivering our space situational awareness payloads to orbit. Our space capabilities, they touch every facet of our lives. They advance our understanding of the universe. They allow us to see our world with greater clarity, more accurate navigation, stronger global commerce and communications. They enable precision farming and agriculture. And overall, they just allow us to operate with greater assurances. So your Space Force Guardians, we protect those assurances and our freedom of action in space. We're pathfinding innovative and resilient new space capabilities, but we don't do that alone. We work across strong allied partnerships, sister services, and our industry teammates to do so. So you remember when you were young and you looked up at the vastness of the stars in the sky? It was inspirational. The idea that space, it represented the unknown, that opportunity to dream and feel as though we could be part of something so much bigger than ourselves. It inspired our imaginations. But those of us who are dreamers, we're not just engineers and scientists. We're extremely skilled craftsmen, trade technicians, and others that build our rockets and our spacecraft. We're journalists, business and financial specialists, doctors, lawyers, contracts experts, logisticians, program managers. We are a mix of diversity of thought, perspectives, and expertise that all come together within the space enterprise. And today, it's truly my colleagues that keep me inspired. They're uniquely talented and a truly committed industry, government, and civil partnerships that we've built a foundation of teamwork and trust that is vital for us to stay competitive across the domain and continue to champion the safe and responsible use of space. Our bold and ambitious national space missions continue to show us that our future's truly unbounded. We're creators, we're innovators, we're leaders. And it's such an exciting time to be part of this evolving industry. There's an incredible amount of opportunities across so many disciplines to be a part of it. I am so proud of each and every member of our USSF-8 team. But I said there's so much more we can do. I challenge us all to keep dreaming, keep innovating together, and never let anyone turn our stars into a ceiling.
Whoa, that was one hell of a speech, I must say that.
I'd like to thank Patrick Moore for his participation in today's show, as well as Brian Sizek from Space Launch Delta 45 Weather. You can stay updated on today's long ascent with ULA's live blog at ulalaunch.com or join the conversation on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Caroline Kirk. Thanks for joining us today. Before we leave, we'll take another look at liftoff, which occurred at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
Guys, look at the side window here, if you kind of see that.
DCDS reduced for launch.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket carrying SF-8 for the United States Space Force.
That was great.
Now 10 seconds in the flight vehicles begun the pitch over maneuver. Body rate responses look good.
You're now hearing the voice of Patrick Moore providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Now 20 seconds in. RD-180 propellant utilization system has gone to closed loop control system. Response looks good. Now passing 30 seconds into flight.
Okay, so there you had it, guys. A beautiful liftoff with everything that you know. Just a second, let me just have it here. These pros, nope, he did not. They did not. Scott Manley is the guy who spots these kind of error, which uh, many of us just ignores. I don't know how does he do that. And this one. Okay, so you had it, guys. This was the launch, hot, straight, and normal, as he said. The man said himself. So that is one of the things. Doing an excellent impersonation of a space YouTuber, exactly. If we, Scott Manley and Tory Bruno kind of look similar. So, when Scott Manley does some explanation videos with a rocket, it kind of reminded me of him only when I saw Tory Bruno doing that. So it was a good thing. Okay, so guys, this was it. Wait a second if I can. Yes, that one is here. Where did it go? The side window. Yeah, there you go. The side launch. You can see the rocket, just go in this direction, the sideway direction. Although it is not drastic as of the Astra, but it was one of those things. So there you have it, guys. This was the right now the only first and the only planned rocket launch of the 511 configuration. You will see some unsymmetrical launches of the Atlas V rocket, but that will be of 400 series, not of 500 series. So to have that experience and to have this much of clarity throughout the launch was great. I mean, the tracking scope quality was very great, I must say that. So yeah, this is it. And now the next launch coming up is the Astra rocket only. No, not the Astra rocket. Okay, so they have uh, postponed their flight. The next rocket launch is of the SpaceX, which is the CST-2 mission, which is the Italian Space Agency launching an Earth observation satellite on 28th January. Then we have the Starlink mission again on the next day, and the 31st January we will be having the Angara 1.2 launch, which is like the Angara rocket launch but without any boosters attached. So, but I don't think so we will have any live stream of the Angara rocket. I don't think so we ever had any live stream of the Angara rocket right till now. So, and this is also like a military mission, so nope, that is not happening. So hopefully we will see the Astra rocket launch this um, on before the end of this month. So there are a couple of launches left. Hopefully we will see those happening. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for you all to join me and have a good and chit chat about the rocket space and engines and all those things. The things right now, there are not what should I say? There's not much any thing happening in space. January is kind of a dull month for everyone. It's like a dull month for YouTube also, and for rockets also. I rarely see some cool launches on in January. So it's like you just pick up your race when there is a new year. You just pick up your rocket launch schedules and start launching. So yeah, the rocket launches will become frequent and more interesting as the time passes. And yes, one interesting thing which actually happened was that Mr. Somnath sir has become the chief of ISRO. Previously, the chief of ISRO was K. Sivan. Now his tenure has ended, and now Mr. Somnath sir has become, as Somnath has become the chief of ISRO. The reason why I'm very much excited for this one, because he is the rocket guy. He is the rocket person of the ISRO. He has, he has been into uh, those missions which those developments which actually required some advanced tech, like the cryo engines, the semi cryo engines, and he is the rocket person to be, if you want to ask about rockets, he's the person to go to. So HLV and all those things happening, coming in for ISRO. I hope under his tenure we will get to see that. So thank you all for joining in, and thank you all the moderators, guys. I know what actually went in the stream this time, so thank you all the moderators for moderating the stream, and thank you all the Patreons and the members of this channel. You guys are great. You are the people who make the Rocket Gyan possible. And until then, this is Fianshu Rohila. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and